Hi YouTube, this is Pug Weasel, otherwise known as Brad from the Black Guy White Guy show. I'll talk about that at the end of the show. This video is going to be about my first aid kit. As you know, the channel that I have here under Pug Weasel, I have decided to use for gun reviews and beer reviews, two of my favorite things. But I think that if you're going to be someone who uses guns appropriately, then it is also appropriate for you to have a good first aid kit. And when I mean by a good first aid kit, it should be capable of saving the life of someone who's been shot, if possible at all, of course. So let's talk about what's in here. Again, basically what I started with was a basic first aid kit that I bought from the store, you know, Band-Aids, you know, the minor things. But I had bought that basically for camping, and I use this for camping as well. And I decided that what I needed was, again, something that if I were to accidentally be shot, hopefully not, you know, fatally, of course, that I would have the things I needed to have help. Hopefully someone save my life, me be able to bandage myself so I could save my own life, or me be able to help someone else if they were accidentally shot out at the range or wherever I might be that we're shooting. Again, I have a friend and he has some land. He lets us go there and shoot. I do not carry this around as often as I should. There are times when I just forget to put it in the back of my car. But I am going to get better about that. Right now, in this part of the country, it's 100 degrees. I do not want to leave it out there constantly in the back of my car, because many of the things that might be in here at any given time might be sensitive to the heat. The reason there's a piece of paper down here right now, and you may not be able to see that, and I'm not going to zoom in on it because it's not that important for you to see it. This is my inventory. A lot of people probably do have a first aid kit, but I actually keep an inventory. It may not seem important when you're putting it together, but if you ever use it, it would be important for you to easily be able to go to the store, mark off what you've used, and then go to the store and replace it. And so that's why there is an inventory that I keep with the backpack, or at least I keep it at home near the backpack, or near the pack at all time. I shouldn't say backpack. This is actually a small courier bag. I will tell you that the two things that I'm still working on getting, and I haven't gotten online and purchased, is an Israeli bandage, which I think is important because you can use it as a tourniquet. And if you don't know what that is, you should go look it up. I don't have one to show you, but it's a really cool bandage that basically it has a pretty big bandage, as well as being capable of holding on other bandages that are that you might use for, say, stopping the bleeding of an exterior wound. And also one or two SAM splints of different sizes. SAM splints are aluminum sheets that are covered in a foam that you can use for splints in case someone breaks their leg, or if someone, say, has been, again, unfortunately been in a shooting accident and they need something to keep their leg straight so as not to cause, say, an artery or vein to re-rupture when you stop the bleeding, so that you can get them to safety if you're out in the woods, say camping, or if just to hold it still while you're waiting for an ambulance to arrive. So we can get into this real quick and I'll show you what I have in here. First, I'm going to do this a pocket at a time because I actually have this inventory listed per the pockets. Front pocket, actually it's the middle pocket, I apologize, has a CPR mask. This is a full over the mouth and nose mask. It's disposable. It's a one-time use only, but it's going to be very important to have this as a dental dam to keep you from having anything that might be regurgitated, because when you breathe into someone doing mouth-to-mouth, sometimes, a lot of the time, especially if you're, you know, when you're in a panic state yourself, you'll do it a little bit wrong and it can cause them to regurgitate whatever's in their stomach when you're helping to breathe for them. So That's one thing. I'm not going to open it again because I don't want to expose it. But these were very inexpensive online. If you go to Amazon, you can find these. I think these were less than $4 a piece. I have one here in my pack. I keep one in my car so that if I'm ever out on the street and need to do CPR, which I have not needed to do, thank God, I haven't. I'm going to start going through this stuff a little bit faster now because I know it can take forever. Hand warmers and some hydrogen gel for burns I have in here. If you're wondering what hand warmers are for, sometimes when you're out in the woods, again, this is more for dealing with people who might have frostbite, things of that nature, people who are feeling cold while you're trying to help them. These are a great mini triple layer non-stick pads, in other words bandages. These are very good to have when you're dealing with wounds because you can cause somebody a great deal of pain later when you stop the bleeding with gauze, because gauze is so porous that as blood dries around it, it's going to get stuck to the wound, and they're going to have to tear that wound off to tear that scab off to get that gauze off. This is self-sticking wrap. It is excellent to have, and if you're not, the thing is when you're working on somebody, this is an excellent thing to have because sometimes tape isn't as sticky as you'd like, and it sticks to itself, so you can wrap it around once, you can get this to stick, and you can use that around bandages. You can also use this if someone has a sprain. It's an excellent thing to have. It's multifaceted. Some of this stuff came with the original first aid kit that I started with. They're just ointments and some wet naps, or not wet naps, but alcohol prep pads, things of that nature. I just kind of put these in kind of miscellaneously. I did not count these separately per se. These are some inexpensive gauze rolls that I found and will get more of as time goes on because you just can't have enough. If you put one of those non-stick pads under these and then you use this for, say, a compound fracture, or for if someone, say, is stabbed and they have whatever has stabbed them protruding out of them, you put gauze on each side of it to keep it steady, and you leave that that whatever it is, whether it's a stick or a knife or whatever, you leave that in the person. The subject needs to have that in there. It is very likely, especially if it's cut a vein or a artery, it's very likely keeping them from bleeding to death. So don't take it out. You put these around it to help keep it steady, and you tape it there so it won't move until they can get to a doctor where they can do emergency surgery or whatever they do to help people in that situation. But don't remove it yourself. More Band-Aids. I just took the boxes of Band-Aids that I had and around the house, and I put them all in a plastic bag and stuck them in my first aid kit. Since it's here for me to use, there's no sense in having them in 2 or 3 different places. Wound closure strips. Those are those strips that stick really, really well, and you use very much like for a cut that would need stitches. That's what these are for. Okay? This, I have to be careful with this. This is just the instructions from the first aid kit. This is an instant cold pack. I don't want to go crushing it or shaking it up, because that's how you get it to go. If you're out camping, you don't necessarily have, or if you're on a walk, a hike, something like that, you don't necessarily have the ability to have ice abundantly, and so this is a cold pack. It actually came with the small original first aid kit that I got. Okay, so putting all this stuff back for the time being so I don't have to figure out where it goes where and so on. So, and then I will get to the next pocket. I'll get that figured out later. In the back pocket, and you can do it however you want, I actually have burn gel as well. I have I ordered this offline. It is a trauma pack with Quick Clot. And Quick Clot, there's another name for it, I can't remember the technical name for it, but this, it has a bandage in it that's going to work on bigger wounds. It also has it's a powdery or crystal type of of substance in it, and you put that on the wound, and it causes your blood to clot more quickly than it normally would, and that can cut down on the amount of pressure that you have to put on the wound, and get that to keep someone from bleeding to death. Very important. This is tape. This is another wrap again that you would use for a spraying. Again, you can use this as your wrap for a big wound to keep bandages on, and so it's a way that you don't have to worry about the tape, say, getting wet or getting blood on it and not working very well. So, bag of nitrile gloves, the rest of which are in the bathroom, along with some just plastic gloves. And that's what's in the back. Important to have. Okay, and in the front pocket, there are a pair of utility scissors. If you've ever seen a paramedic up close, he usually has a pair of these in his pants pocket somewhere. This is great for any number of things, cutting bandages, but also cutting clothes off of people. So if someone has some kind of injury and they're wearing jeans, this is what paramedics use to cut the clothes off of people. And they are very inexpensive. They're under $5. I got mine at the local hardware store, and I've seen them in more than one hardware store. You can also get them at like Walgreens and so on and so forth. Very, very, very important. I get this free from work. They just want us to be safe. They want us to cut down on germs. I do not work in a hospital. We get a bottle every year, and they have little stations all over the place for us to use so we can keep our hands clean. If you have a first aid kit and you don't have this, you can use an alcohol prep pad. If you have one of those small ones, they'll have that in there. But I suggest that you get a bottle as big as will fit in your bag. You could save someone's life just by using this, just by using the hand sanitizer, because if you're out, again, you're out in the woods, you're on a float trip, you're on whatever, just by disinfecting your hands before you help someone could keep them from getting a nasty infection like staph infection. This is a little mini first aid kit. I keep it in the first aid kit. If it's just not feasible to carry the whole thing somehow or whatever, I could take this. It's just got a few Band-Aids in it and some alcohol prep pads. And that's what I have so far in my first aid kit. And I know it's not complete. I will continue to try and learn more, what all the stuff is that I need in this thing, and continue to add to it as we go. I got this bag. I got it for free. And so it didn't cost me very much, but they're good quality bags. And you can use a backpack, you can use whatever it is you need. I may take the stuff out of this bag and put it into another bag sometime that's bigger as I have more stuff. Because I think once I order the stuff that I just said I don't have, I will not be able to fit everything in here because it's pretty much packed right now. But I suggest that you take the time to make a first aid kit that's a little bit more substantial than what you can buy at your local drugstore. Now, if you're wondering where you get the information to put together a good first aid kit, the place that I went was, I went online and I looked at a bunch of different places, but one of the places that I went that I found was very helpful was the Zombie Squad website. For those of you who may be saying to yourself, well, Zombie Squad, there's no... This organization basically has taken the time to actually learn what to do in the case of serious emergencies, serious natural disasters, and they actually do training on them. So if you go to that website and once you're there, you can punch in emergency first aid kit. You can punch in a bunch of subjects, but that's one that you can punch in, and it'll bring up a bunch of people who have listed what they have in their first aid kits. And it was very helpful to help me go to the store and pick out things that were going to be helpful to making this a good first aid kit, and to go online and find the stuff that would be appropriate for a first aid kit that was going to be a little bit better than just dealing with cuts and bruises. Again, I'm Pug Weasel, also known as Brad from the Black Guy White Guy Show. You can listen to our show by going to www.blackguywhiteguy.com. You can find it on iTunes, it's a podcast. You can go to our Black Guy White Guy YouTube page by just punching in the Black Guy White Guy Show. And you can contact us on Twitter at BGuyWGuy. You can also contact me via email at bradtheblackguy@gmail.com. Thank you.